Welcome. This is David Bowles, Human Meme. Today's topic, Unspoken and Unborn. There are some among us who cannot stand on our own logic. We, they, them instead choose to prop up the boogeyman, or place the shadow government on our shoulders, or they embrace the tooth fairy to make most moot arguments, and they want them all to have meaning beyond their own minds. Yes, some of our brains trip us up in an argument, and so we turn to the straw man defense, where we set up a false pretense to pretend that it builds up the intellectual argument we are failing to make. Pastor Dave Barnhart of the Methodist Church recently took on the conservative straw man argument that the unborn are the most unspoken, the most brilliant, and the most absolutely precious beings placed far above any other living thing, and that the unborn are actually the most convincing people that have yet to take their first breath of life on their own. And now, my human meme friend, I will share Pastor Barnhart's quote with you now. The unborn are a convenient group of people to advocate for. They never make demands of you. They are morally uncomplicated, unlike the incarcerated, addicted, or the chronically poor. They don't resent your condescension or complain that you are not politically correct. Unlike widows, they don't ask you to question patriarchy. Unlike orphans, they don't need money, education, or child care. Unlike aliens, they don't bring all that racial, cultural, and religious baggage that you dislike. They allow you to feel good about yourself without any work at creating or maintaining relationships. And when they are born, you can forget about them because they cease to be unborn. It's almost as if, by being born, they have died to you. You can love the unborn and advocate for them without substantially challenging your own wealth, power, or privilege, without reimagining social structures, apologizing, or making reparations to anyone. They are, in short, the perfect people to love if you want to claim you love Jesus, but actually dislike people who breathe. Prisoners, immigrants, the sick, the poor, widows, orphans, all the groups that are specifically mentioned in the Bible, they all get thrown under the bus for the unborn. Oh, now, my human meme friend, isn't that a remarkable and magnificent argument from Methodist pastor Dave Barnhart? And as a young child, I was indoctrinated into the Methodist Church, and that tone of argument and thoughtfulness from Pastor Barnhart rings a familiar hallmark to me. Methodists, especially those Methodist churches tied to universities, tend to be more free-thinking and thoughtful and on point when it comes to understanding the human condition. As a teen, I did not, and still do not, regret leaving behind that particulate faith, because that experience helped build a foundation of understanding bathed in the warmth of the human soul. But sometimes there is a greater, if not colder, freedom in being allowed to venture out on your own to find your own way without the tenets of any particular faith standing in your way. But hey, enough about me. So now we know a major tool in the non-progressive, argumentative side of some people is to pick beings, things, some who are not born yet, some who are even dead, to help propagate a certain religious belief and political consciousness to meet their unfathomable ends. Well, Abraham Lincoln would never do that. Or maybe if Jesus Christ were alive today, right now, he'd be weeping again. And the always oldie but goodie, oh, if only your father wasn't dead in his grave, he'd rise up and wallop some sense back into you. You get it. You know what I'm talking about. I know you do. Because you've heard all of that before, in some reason or another. So if the dead are an inconvenient mouthpiece prop for a silly win in an argument, well, then the uncheckable is also a convenient way to try to put an idea back in its originating place and far away from you. Oh yes, forget the unborn, and even the dead for right now. Because now you can employ the imaginary friend, along with the uncheckable fact. For example, well, we could ask Gus if he gave me his truck or not, but he's currently hiking in the Himalayas, and so I guess you'll just have to take my word for it that his truck is mine. Or how about this? Well, if Mom weren't in the hospital with COVID-19 and on a vent, we could get her to explain to you again why all vaccines are a hoax. Or what about something like this? The Yale School of Divinity says God actually died 1,000 years ago with the first plague. But you wouldn't know that fact, would you? Because you think you already know everything. Does any of that sound familiar in some odd or specific way? Well, of course it does, because that's what a lot of us do. We lie, we blame, we set up false arguments. That's how a lot of people try to win an argument. They don't want to have a conversation. No, they just want drama and yelling. They must be right. You must be wrong. There is no gray area, white or black, fact or lie, and they always claim that they never lie. And so, my human meme friend, we are stuck in an infinite loop of ego and lack of respect and foolishness, all posing together in a pretty picture, as a primitive big picture of things that never were, and better never be. Yes, the art of actual truthfulness, or the verification of a stated fact, does not matter to those who call up the ghosts of the unspoken and the unspeakable to try to steal a point. The only thing that matters to them is winning the instant lie. It doesn't matter to them how they get there, as long as they achieve the end result they want. If context is everything, then stealing is the only thing. Yes, my human meme friend, we are in for a world of hurt. Our culture has been devalued by the rich and the poor. Our intellect has been dulled by those who care not to learn a new thing after the age of 5 years old. And our kindness has been warped and tested by a brand new social cruelty that masquerades as caring. As I said in a recent tweet via my @DavidBowles account, the love letter has been replaced by the hate text. And yes, that's unfortunately where we find ourselves today, arguing with the dead, caught in constant conflict with the unspoken, and ruled by the demise of facts that cannot be verified, because they never existed in the first place. The lie has taken over our entertainment, and the truth, forlorn and lonesome, suffers in silence, patiently waiting for its turn to be heard again, taught again, preached again, to be unborn again. From the pulpit, from the street corner soapbox, and from the bleachers, carved into the mountainside hilltop that hides the next truthful horizon. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.